Okay, so welcome back to another edition of the Nerdcast. My name is Dan, and on today's edition of the Nerdcast, we have Jonathan from Side Quests. Say hello.
Hello.
And on tonight's edition of the Nerdcast, we also have the lovely, the one, the only, Trina Schessel.
Hello.
Awesome. Well, today is I'm pretty exciting because we were supposed to do this on Monday. We had some technical issues, so now we're doing it on Wednesday, which is it's still good. It's all good. Happy times. So yes, today we are talking with Jonathan, but a little bit later. But first, I like to ask everybody how their week was. So I'm going to start with Jonathan. How was your week?
Pretty good. Pretty busy. We built a whole bunch of random things this week. I guess if you're curious, we'll talk about that later. But we spent most of the week building puzzles and making lights blink and not getting sleep. So, yeah.
Sounds like fun. Trina.
Well, my week was pretty busy, and I have found a new hobby. It's called amigurumi. I think I said that right. It's the Japanese art of knitting or crocheting tiny stuffed figures. You're gonna hold those up. So I got a little kit from Costco.
So
Costco's awesome.
If you are not actually watching this live, you cannot see the adorable little Yoda that I'm holding up. Or Ewok. He's a little dark, but he's still he gets the point across. He looks like an Ewok. The Stormtrooper looks awesome. He's a little bit bright on the screen here. R2D2 is pretty slick. Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Yeah, they swing back and forth.
It's articulating.
It's fancy.
That's what I've been doing in my spare time.
That's a good way to spend your spare time.
I think so.
Yeah.
And like hunting down eyes for these things, because apparently there aren't very many stores in Edmonton that carry safety eyes.
Yeah. So that we should probably tell that story. I think it's a good story.
So I was looking for eyes, and all the stores that I found had any, and I found this website that was a mail order bear making supplies, and they were located just outside of Spruce Grove. So I called them up because that's where I live, and I was like, I don't really want to pay for you to ship these, and I kind of need them now. So can I come out and pick them up? And the guy was like, oh yeah, sure. Come on out. Let me ask my wife if we'll be home tomorrow. And like very not business-like at all. So I was like, and then he gave me directions on how to get to his acreage. And I was like, you are coming with me, honey, because there is no way I'm driving out to some random place by myself for eyes. So go driving over there. And do you want to take over?
Yeah, so we're on our way out there, and I think we're about halfway out there, and I'm like, because I'm not paying attention because I'm making Trina drive, and I look at the instructions to this place, and I'm like, oh, I know where this is. My best friend growing up lived out in this area.
His parents still live there.
And his parents still live out there. Like they're right there. And so when we got to the house, I'm like, I know this house. I'm like, hey Trina, can you just go next door? There's my friend's house. Like we've known them for years, right? And so we drove back, and I'm like, when I think I was probably about 18, maybe a little bit younger than that. I was 17. I think even probably actually, yes, 17, 16, 17, somewhere in there. I had actually crashed my car into their culvert. And what happened was when I crashed, I had actually, Dukes of Hazzard style, launched my car up over top of their driveway and landed on the other side. And this was, oh man, so many years ago. But because of this, I remember like I wrote my car off on their culvert. So when we go in to talk to these guys, yes, it's still the same people that are still living in that house. And yes, he does remember the next day, because I don't think he was there the day I actually ended up crashing my car into his culvert. He wasn't there, but the next day when my parents and my dad and my best friend's dad went out there to go fix the culvert, because actually I think I had to go do something for work for somewhere, so I wasn't able to make it the next day. So yeah, that was my story, and it's a small world some days. So that's that. And Trina just ran off on me for a minute, probably because the kids are up and running around. But for myself, I actually have a little bit that I was doing this week as well. If I have my notes up here, where are they? So I got a chance to actually play some games this weekend. The new Dead of Winter. Have you tried this one? I can't remember what it's called. The Long Dark, I think it is.
Long Night, I think.
The Long Night, is
Long
it?
Night, Long Dark.
Long something.
Either one of those. Yeah, I've heard of it. Haven't had a chance to play it. We do own the original Dead of Winter. Gotten a couple playthroughs of that. It's pretty solid. What's the new expansion get?
The new expansion has a few added bonuses. Like they have other characters like raiders that will show up in the outskirts of the town, and they also have something. We didn't get to play with the other expansion. I think there's like two different expansions in there. We didn't play with the other one. I heard it wasn't that great, anyways. But we tried it out. We were really like. Typically, we don't win at this game. Like,
no, there's not a lot of winning.
That game is so tough. And so we tried it. We made a good go of it. But we couldn't make it.
Yeah, that game tends to go, everything's okay, everything is terrible.
Yeah, everything's like, you're like, oh yeah, no, we got this. We're fine. And then like the last little bit is it's the Long Dark. Yeah, we were right at the very last round. I think we need to make it like a couple more little things, and we would have been fine. We even had a character, like one of my guys. His special ability is anytime that the morality was going to go down by one, he could roll a dice, and he could stop it from going down, right? So someone had moved to another spot, and it basically what happened was he moved from another spot, got bit, and died, and so you have to drop your morality by one.
Yep.
And so he had to roll for this, and he missed his roll. But the whole time, this whole game, he never once rolled for that morality. Like we rolled for the morality, but he never made that roll ever. He always rolled lower than we were supposed to. So,
so much for that power.
What kind of a special ability is it if you're a 50-50 chance of getting this thing and you never hit it once? Terrible special ability. It's an awesome special. It just teases you.
Or terrible rolls.
It's a bad roll. That's all. It's okay. It was a lot of fun. We really did enjoy it. The other thing was on the weekend I got to take the boys out to Westhampton Mall. We had a friend of ours. They had they work at Safeway, and so they had all their employees come in for like just Fantasyland, right? Like to go and
Okay.
enjoy the Fantasyland park there for a bit. And so we got to take the boys out there, and they can just go on any ride they want. So it was just awesome, just to like have fun, guys, and run around with them for a little while. Man, those rides are. I'm like, oh man, I still have fun in there. It's great. I love it there. So that's pretty much all I have for right now. Jonathan,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about side quests. But before we even get into all that, I want to know a little bit more about you and what kind of like, I don't know, what made you decide that side quest was such a great idea.
What kind of a crazy person decides that, yeah, let's lock people in rooms for a living? To be honest, I'm not sure. I have a really weird and varied background. I have a software engineering, game design, wedding photography, classical piano training background, so that's all weird and random.
Just varied, that's all it is.
A couple years ago, we actually went to Breakout when it first opened, and we're like, hey, this is actually really fun. And we thought, hey, maybe we could also do this. So we started plans. They sort of fell to the side for a bit, but last November we kind of picked it up, and here's where we are now.
Awesome. So do you guys, when you guys are building new rooms, what kind of thought goes into building a new room? Like, do you guys build everything from scratch? Like, how do you do this? Like, how does a new room get born?
So there's three of us on our team. There's my wife Rebecca, and then our other partner, friend from high school, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, we try to base our rooms on, okay, what haven't we seen yet, or what would we like to try? Generally, Rebecca will come up with the ideas of, okay, this is what we kind of want the players to do, what we want the interactions to be, what we want the puzzles to be like. We don't really set anything down in stone. We just have a sort of broad directive that we want to move in. And then Rebecca will come up to us and say, okay, I want the players, when they move these blocks, this should happen. And then Chris and I look at each other and go, okay, let's think about how we're actually going to make that actually happen. And there's a bit of back and forth there, and eventually we do come up with a room. But yes, everything that we do design is designed by us from scratch. All the electronics are done here. Any of the props that need to be made are generally made here. All that good stuff.
So let me ask, so you guys make everything from scratch. So let's go into talk a little bit about the rooms that you currently already have.
All right.
So you got 2 rooms up and running, correct?
That's right.
So the first one would be Uncle.
Yeah.
And the second one is the Egyptian one. I can't remember what it's called.
Expedition.
Expedition, that's right.
Yeah.
And so when you guys built, let's say, Uncle, what kind of thought process went into something like that?
I think it started with some crazy idea of... Let's sidetrack for a bit. Have you guys seen the Disney show Gravity Falls?
No. I do know what it is, though. It's that crazy animation one, right?
Yeah, it's like basically 2 kids for the summer get sent to Oregon in a little town called Gravity Falls, where their uncle owns this hokey tourist trap shop called the Tourist Shack, or the Mystery Shack is what it's called. And inside, all he's got are crazy, kitschy things that he's put together as like really, really, really cheesy tourist trap things that are clearly fake. But the kids have adventures and find things that are actually going on in the town that are weird and supernatural. So part of the impetus for the idea was like, what if we had some sort of like, say you had a crazy uncle who believed in all sorts of weird conspiracies. What would he be like? What if one day he disappeared and he wanted you to pick up where he left off? So on the surface, it would seem like an odd but pretty normal apartment, and then once you get deeper, it gets weirder and weirder as you find out what kind of weird conspiracies he's on.
Awesome. So when you guys were building some of the puzzles specifically for that, what made you like? What kind of things did you guys have to go through to make those puzzles work the way they do?
Generally, a lot of the puzzles came from sort of pulling from popular culture / our own imaginations of, okay, if you had a crazy uncle, what kind of weird security systems or crazy things would he do to protect his research or his crazy conspiracy notes? Well, he'd probably have like some sort of weird code you'd have to put into a keypad that's there for no reason, and he'd hide his code in weird books and codes if he didn't think whatever was trying to chase him would be able to find it there. The way we approach a lot of rooms is that we try to find ways to justify the puzzles inside so that they have a reason for existing there. They're not just there for the sake of being puzzles. Because it's really easy just to throw a random puzzle into the middle of a room and say, okay, now you get numbers out of this, and now you have to unlock this box that's inexplicably on the other side of the room. And for us, we want to take it a little bit further.
One of the nice things that I liked about you guys versus some of the other rooms I've tried is the role playing that you put into it, and the kind of the getting right into the story, and how there is that story kind of underlying everything.
Yeah. For us, like the immersion and sort of trying to preserve your experience as a player in the weird fictional world that we're creating is a really big thing for us. So as much as possible, we do not enter the rooms when giving you clues. We'll find an excuse or a reason to give you a walkie-talkie or some way to communicate with us so we don't have to break that experience for you at any point in time.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that aspect of it. How did you figure out how to make some of those traps and things that you've got? Because you've got a lot of like magnetic things and electronic things going on. Is that something that you guys had some kind of skill in before this?
All of us had minor experience in electronics. Chris more so, since he's an electrical engineer. But all of us had some interest / inclination towards it. And now with Arduino being readily available and electronic parts being readily available through a variety of vendors, it's a lot easier now than actually having to go to a weird hobby shop and be like, okay, I need a magnetic sensor that's named this weird 8-digit manufacturer code.
So, you said you guys have like this varied background. Like, you guys, the one thing that I particularly like about your guys' rooms is that I noticed that a lot of the other places that I've been to are either you can tell that they were purchased, like those rooms were purchased, or they were made they're prefabricated ones. Your guys' are very specific, and your guys are very, this is you guys, which is unique is the term, I guess. But at the same time, you guys bring a different approach. Can you guys tell me a little bit about the approach you guys bring with your point system?
Okay, so a lot of places will generally just rank people on time, and we kind of want to come up with a more granular way that you could sort of compare yourself to someone else, because a lot of places don't account for. Maybe you asked for hints, maybe you didn't ask for hints. When you asked for a hint is a really big thing when you go into an escape room. So we came up with a point system. Basically, your team will get points per puzzle that you solve in the room. And some of the major puzzles at the end of the room will also get you a bonus of points depending on how much time left on the clock there is when you solve it. And any time left on the clock, should you finish the room early, you also get some bonus points. I guess where the big thing comes in is that we don't limit the number of hints you can ask for, whereas a lot of places will limit you to 2 to 3, or maybe have a token system. So for us, you can ask for as many hints as you like, but every hint that you do choose to take will subtract a little bit from your score. So it's sort of a set your own difficulty system where if you feel competitive and you feel like, no, I want the high score and I really want to do this by myself, then you don't have to ask for hints, and that's totally up to you. But if you're like, all right, no, we're really stuck and I do really actually just want to get past this puzzle, you can absolutely do that, and we'll always help you as well.
So when you guys built Uncle, did you guys did you purposely make it so that it was impossible for you guys people to pass on the first time?
We've actually had a good number of groups get to the last puzzle with just shy of the amount of time to solve it. I believe if most of the time if they had asked for a hint a little bit earlier, they probably would have solved it. We actually have had one group completely solve it on their first time through with time to spare.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I believe we got pretty close.
Yeah, I think we were.
Yeah, you guys were quite close.
And not only that, I think at the same time, even what I think one puzzle tripped us up, but I think for the most part we could have figured it out. I felt like it was at least doable, right?
I think we got stuck because we didn't know how to open the door or something. Like it unlocked and we couldn't figure out where it was.
Yeah, we didn't push. We didn't push.
Yeah,
something.
We didn't push the wall or something to get the door open.
Yeah, I guess what we're aiming for is hard but fair. Like,
yeah,
you should feel challenged, but you shouldn't feel like, oh, that was impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and your rooms also have more than one ending to them, right? So that makes it kind of neat too.
Yeah, generally all of our rooms do follow a storyline that you're participating in, and there's multiple ways that storyline could end, depending on how you do in the room and what puzzles you manage to solve and what puzzles you may not be able to solve in time.
So what made you guys think of doing multiple endings?
I think we all really just liked those choose your own adventure books when growing up. You know, the ones where you're like, all right, I'm going to stick my fingers in like 5 different page bookmarks here, and if I die, I'm going back to this, like my thumb, where my thumb is. So we want to kind of recreate that feel of, okay, there's multiple ways this could go, or there's different ways that this could end depending on what choice I make, and that's kind of what we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about about your themes again.
Sure.
So you have, we went through Uncle, but Expedition as well. So what sort of things went into building Expedition?
In terms of design, or in terms of like physical construction, or
Let's
what
go
would you
with,
like to know about?
first off, design, right? So you're like, what made you guys think, yeah, ancient Egypt? That's a good one to do.
Expedition is Rebecca's baby. It's the room that she's wanted to do since we opened this place. So that was pretty much, it used to be our first room on the docket, but then got bumped down due to some reprioritization, but it's open now. But it's her baby, and she designed it in about a day. Most of the original design is still intact, and there were some minor tweaks, but I'd say 90% of it is as intended.
Wow. That is pretty impressive. I mean, there's a lot going on in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I really did. I think the group size that we had, I can't remember. I think it was 6 of us. I think that was the perfect amount for that room, especially.
Yeah, I liked it that we could go in with 6 and it wasn't too crowded. Like some of these places, like 4 is max you should take, right? And so to have a room that was big enough to hold 6 or 8 people is really good, because we always think like we want to go out with all these people, but where can go? Well, these things, you know, you can't really do with the big group. But it was nice that we were able to do that one with a little bit, a couple extra people.
Was that part of your initial plan, was to have a bigger room?
Yes, because we did want to sort of have puzzles that depended on more than one person participating at the same time, as well as accommodating larger groups. Because I guess the puzzles in there do allow you to split your group up and do multiple at the same time. They allow you to focus on different things at the same time. It's designed so that a group could conceivably have things to do at the same time rather than all be crowded around one tiny area. Oh, stop. It's designed so that a group.
Yeah.
So, can I ask you now, what rooms do you guys have planned up for the next little while?
That there's no shortage of. We have a book that never stops growing. So, yeah, there is no shortage of ideas that we could execute on going forwards. It's more of, okay, what would we like to actually approach next? What feels like it would be the most fun to build next, to be honest.
Because you guys got quite a bit of space back there, surprisingly. Because I mean, when you first walk in, I mean, you got just that little area, and then it just kind of closes off. But if you go back in the back there, you guys got quite a bit of area, right?
Yeah, there's about 4,000 total square feet down here.
That's fairly impressive.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it, but it does extend for most of the building going backwards.
That's pretty nice. So, I don't know. What else do we got?
I have a couple other questions
Sure.
I could ask. So, kind of going back to before you all started, did you all enjoy doing escape rooms? Was this something that you had done before?
I think going back even further, we've all been a fan of puzzle games, things like Myst, things like the old LucasArts point-and-click adventures, all that sort of thing. And having very much enjoyed puzzles going forward, when the escape room thing started, I actually hadn't heard of it until Chris actually invited us to go do one with him. So once we had done one, we're like, oh, this is like blank in real life. This is like Monkey Island in real life. This is like Myst, but in real life. That's a really cool idea. I hadn't considered this until this point.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, I want to thank you so much for coming out. I know when we went, we just had an absolutely fantastic time, and
Awesome.
you guys actually gave us a couple of tickets to give
Yes,
away.
we did.
So here's what we did during this year's Extra Life. People who donated to the campaign, I put everybody's name into a draw, and so.
Awesome.
I have this little tub here, and I'm gonna give Trina.
Uh-oh.
She's gonna be my Vanna White here.
Vanna
So
White ever pulled names.
I don't think she ever pulled the name. But
Yeah.
so here's our big winner for the tickets.
Kathy
Kathy
Hutchings.
H.
H.
Uh,
That's the same.
H.
H.
Yeah. So yes, we're gonna give Kathy some tickets to go to your guys' escape
Congratulations.
room.
Maybe she can invite us along with her. I will come back.
I would have a hard time.
Not going back.
No, not going back, but not going back with the same group, right?
Yeah.
Because I already know the ending, and it's like I don't want to tell you.
You don't want to ruin it for the
I don't want-
new people.
I don't want to wreck it for the new people. But if I went back, and now that's the other thing is that you guys encourage multiple plays, correct?
Yeah, we do. We do have a system or a free membership, basically. It's called the Adventurers Guild. You can join up for free when you come in. And what it entitles you to is $15 replays of our rooms. Any room that you've already done, you can give another crack for 15 instead of 25. You also get loyalty points, which you can use on discounts with stuff with us. So it's just a way to sort of thank people who want to give our rooms more than one shot, because we know that a lot of the time escape rooms are a one-time deal. So if you do feel that you want to give a room another shot because you didn't finish, or you want to bring some people back with you, we think that you should be rewarded for that, and it's just a thank you from us.
That's awesome. Now, and you guys also have, and I don't know why that. You guys also have everybody's picture up on
Yes.
your famous wall, which I actually love. I love that wall because we have two.
You're on it.
Because I'm on it, and I mean, what wall is not complete without my picture on it? I mean, really, every wall in this house has a wall.
This one doesn't have anything. One behind me doesn't have anything. So I guess it's not
That
complete.
same wall. That's what I'm saying. You have to put my picture on there, and then it just makes it all the better.
All right, next time I'll show you, and we'll just have like a giant portrait of you just right here.
We'll have to work on that one. So I don't know what else do we got. I totally lost my train of thought
I
there.
don't know. high scores and picture walls and coming back for more.
Yes.
I don't know. I think if I did it again, I'd probably not remember it all.
Especially
It's like when you watch a TV show again a year later and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. Or when a new book comes out in a series and you're like, I totally forgot about that. Oh yeah. So I think going back over it again would be.
I don't think it would be,
Interesting.
but like you said,
You
like
kinda
you'd be like,
have an idea of
You'd
what's
have that
going
idea
on,
in the
at
back of
least.
your head of
Yeah.
how it went. So I don't know. It'd be nice to try,
Yeah, it'd be
especially
interesting to
with.
try it again.
I would like to finish Uncle. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
That's the one. It drives me nuts that I didn't get to finish that one. Next time.
Expedition tends to have
I get to see
replays
the
because
ending.
people tend to see about half the puzzles on any given playthrough.
Yeah.
So people tend to see about half because the group will split up and people see whatever their half of the group tends to focus on. So that
And
one's
I don't
got
know,
some
I was
replays
just
there.
kind of like, I think I figured one thing out. I was just kind of hanging out, looking around, trying to find things most of the time. So I think I figured part of the book out, but yeah, I don't know what everybody else was doing. So.
Yeah, there was so much going on in that room, and that's the other thing is like there's multiple things happening at once, so that's kind of, and it keeps people engaged. That's the thing that I really do enjoy is like when everyone's kind of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you're not really doing something, you're doing something.
Yeah.
It's still fun. And yes, escape rooms are awesome. So if you're out there watching this show, or listening to this, like I really encourage you guys go check out SideQuest. It's a lot of fun for and it's just great fun. Like it's just awesome.
It's fun.
It's just fun.
All
It's
you
fun.
need to know is that it's fun.
it.
If you're into puzzles or trying to escape from places,
Yep. It's a great place to go for a date. That's for sure. A group date.
you probably couldn't figure it out. Just do you?
It'd be hard.
We don't offer couples therapy, although we have had 0 breakups as a result so far.
That's good. Have you had anybody like fighting amongst the groups?
Yeah, we've heard some
Yelling?
lively discussion through the walls as to how to approach some puzzles sometimes, but we haven't had any outright arguments yet.
That's good.
You're on the win column on that one. All right. Well, we'll go into the upcoming events for the next month, or for this month. I have absolutely nothing happening in December.
Busy with everything else happening.
December is
devoid. It's void of geekness.
is no. Well, there's a lot of geekiness happening in December. However, there's nothing as far as events that I have on my calendar. So if you do have any events, please share them with us, and we'll be happy to put them up on our calendar. However, coming at the end of the month here, actually this weekend, November 26th, 27, is the Classic Video Game Championships, and that is happening at Nate. I believe in one of the halls there. If you go to northernnerdnetwork.com, there you guys will find the event calendar page, and you guys can click on the events and see what's coming up. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. I've gone to a few of the Classic Video Game Championships, and they're always a lot of fun. And there's a lot of awesome TVs and a lot of just classic video game nerdiness happening all over that room. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Go check it out. And then that's it. Like I said, there's like nothing going on.
I'm sure there's something going on.
I'm sure.
Are out of that loop today, apparently.
Do you guys have anything going on at SideQuest?
We are madly working on our 3rd room, and yeah, mostly badly working on our 3rd room. We did do an event just yesterday, actually, though, for Alberta Wildfire, which was very fun. We put together a small mobile escape room for them and brought that on site for their volunteer queue. And that was lots of fun.
And what was that one themed?
That one was actually steampunk time traveler themed.
Cool.
Yeah, you have to help some poor steampunk time traveler get home because they've broken their machine horribly and don't know quite how to fix it.
Nice.
That's pretty fantastic.
Sounds awesome.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for the night.
Where can we find SideQuest Adventures?
Yes, that's a good question.
Physical or digital?
But
All of it.
All right, so you can find us online at sidequests.ca. That's sidequests.ca. You can find our Twitter at sidequests_YEG. And we also have a Facebook page at Facebook/SideQuestsYEG without the underscore because we're bad at signing up for names. And you can find us in real life if you want to wander downtown. We are located at 10190 104th Street, and we're just underneath the restaurant called Stage 104 inside the old vintage-looking metals building.
kind of a cool building.
Yes, it is a really cool building, and I love the place where you guys have your guys' like lockup, like this old vault.
It actually is a vault.
Exactly.
Yeah, the building was built in 1914, and so every floor actually has a real-life vault. So we just repurposed ours for client storage.
Which makes sense.
Yep.
If you're gonna have storage, put it in the vault. It does. It's pretty awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight. This was great.
No worries. Thank you
And
for
Monday
having
night.
me. Not to worry.
All right. Well, I'm glad this worked out. And B, this is great. So, thank you so much for coming. That is pretty much all the time we have for tonight. And that's it. That's all. If you guys want to find more about Northern Nerd Network, you guys can find us online at northernnerdnetwork.com. You guys can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Twitter at Facebook. Twitter at Northern_Nerd.
I wonder if Facebook is on Twitter.
I'm sure they are.
They probably are. I think so.
And that's pretty much it. That's all. I want to thank everybody out there for watching and or listening to this edition of the Nerdcast. And I'll see you guys on the next one.